welcome to Fun with Food. Today I'm going to be making a delicious Mother's Day breakfast. I'm going to start by making a juice filled with fruits from my local farmer's market. Let's juice this up. I seem to be using a really big lemon, so I'm only going to use half of it, but you can either use half or a whole, depending on size. Aloha sparkles! Aloha and welcome to today's vlog. Today is a different vlog. It's not just any normal vlog. I have the baby here and she's trying to knock over where the camera is. I feel like I'm getting questions a lot about my past and life before I had babies. I find that sometimes people want to know specific details about how I was raised or just the life that I lived before I had 3 babies. So I thought I would share that. I thought I would go through the details. I've done Q&As and things like that, but I never sat down and told my life like this. So the start of my life. I was born on June 8th, 1998 in Los Angeles, California. I grew up in Venice, Santa Monica area of California. So right by the ocean. I was always an ocean baby, loved the ocean, being by the water, everything like that. I have a sister who's 8.5 years older than me. She is 27 now, and I'm 19. We've always been pretty close. I also have 2 other sisters from just my dad, so I've never met them. Actually, they live in Germany and in Greece, so I've never met them, but I talk to them a lot. So that's really cool. I dreamed to meet them one day. I had a great babyhood. Life was pretty good. My parents did separate when I was about 4 or 5, and so I just kind of split time between their homes, and I had a lot of freedom. By a certain age, I was able to choose where I wanted to be, so I would just kind of go wherever I wanted at night, either my mom's or my dad's, and that was just the way it was. I went to a very creative private school that taught me a lot of things. I think a lot of my love for things started at this school, so I kind of learned to love facets of art, like fine art, painting, and just creating different things with my hands, as well as making videos and computer stuff and designing things. It just kind of was a great place for my mind to grow and expand, and I learned a lot from going to this school. I graduated elementary school there and I had a great group of friends, a wonderful group of friends. I did soccer all growing up. I loved playing soccer. I did competitive soccer on a competition team. We would travel around and do different tournaments, and I just loved my soccer friends and doing this. This was one of my greatest hobbies. So at about 5 years old, this is when I started doing some acting and modeling. My sister really wanted to do acting. She just kind of fell into doing modeling too, just because that's what kind of happens when you get into it. She got an agent. I was just with her that day and they were like, we'll sign you too. So then my sister and I signed with an agency. It's called Ford Models in Los Angeles. And we signed with Ford Models and were with them for a few years and did modeling while I was in school. I really liked it. We started to do it and we really enjoyed it. And I know this is very cliche, everybody who lives in LA does modeling and acting, blah blah blah, but I don't know, I'm just sharing my story with you. If you don't like it, you can click off this video at any time, but this is my life and this is what happened. So I went to school and I would have to leave school sometimes to do commercials or little modeling things or whatever.
Make friends with nature. Open season toys are now at Burger King. You can collect all 8 open season toys. There's one per kids meal. And you can have a smart treat like milk. Have it your way with open season at Burger King now.
And I would kind of get upset sometimes when I had to leave school, but I would always enjoy it when I was actually doing it. I went to that school until 6th grade. And then my mom broke up with a boyfriend and she actually decided to move us to New York City. So she just kind of like felt spur of the moment, decided we would keep doing modeling and acting there. By this time my sister was going to college. She kind of broke away from that whole thing, but I kept doing it in New York City. So I went to a school specifically where you're able to leave the school to do work. So I would go to school with other kids that did acting and modeling as well. My dad at this time came to live in New York City for a little bit, but then he actually moved to Germany. So I was 12 when my dad moved to Germany, Berlin, Germany. I love New York City, and I loved living in New York City and living in Los Angeles. I thought I was a city girl. I was into it. I was down for it. But after we lived in New York City for a year, we kind of started getting into a rough place because my mom had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis while we lived in New York City, so she wasn't doing that well physically at the time. So she had to go on a very clean, raw vegan diet at that point, my mom, and that really did help to improve her symptoms. We weren't doing very well financially. It was just too much to live in New York City for us. So we were gonna move to Texas. But we ended up moving back to Los Angeles. We lived in my best friend's office studio space. Her dad owned this office space, and we lived in like a part of the office space, but it was like an apartment. But it was so awesome. They let us live there for a while to get back on our feet. When we lived in the office space, I actually went to a public school for the first time, where I experienced like the weirdest school time of my life. And after this experience, I did not want to go back to school again. I didn't enjoy school at all in 7th grade. It was just too much work. People there just weren't very nice. I had a few great friends for that year while I was there, but overall, not my favorite thing. After 7th grade, we moved to Topanga and I started doing online school. And we lived in a pink hut in Topanga Canyon. And I had like this room that was detached from the house. Like you couldn't get there from the inside of the house. You had to go up an exterior staircase to get in this like attic space that was like triangular. It was like really rustic, like a little tree house or something. So we lived there for a while. Then I visited my sister. I think it was summer of 2014. This is when I met Naya, my baby's papa, my boyfriend in love. So I came to visit her here, and I absolutely fell in love with Kauai and with just like the people here and the country life and like the small town living. And I've always been an ocean person, but this ocean is very different to Santa Monica Beach. I just fell in love with it. I only came for 2 weeks the very first time, but I knew I loved it. And then I went back at that time, whatever, and I continued the year. 9th grade, I said I would never go to normal school again. But I got into this charter school. That was a really good charter school, and we said it could be similar to how my elementary school experience was. There had been kids that had gone there that we knew that really enjoyed it. So I tried out this for 9th grade, and 9th grade was my biggest like year of like school, high school experience. Like that was the most high school I got, was my 9th grade experience. And we lived in Santa Monica at this time. I went to this charter school. I had a few great friends. I had a few boys I liked. Sorry, my baby is going crazy. This is when I had like crushes on guys, and I was like getting more into guys, you know what I mean? Like this is when I had my real first like kiss, besides like my first kiss in 6th grade, which was actually to the Naked Brothers band star, Alex Wolf. He was my first boyfriend in 6th grade. I don't know if I should say that, but Alex Wolf from the Naked Brothers band was my first boyfriend in 6th grade. He went to my school in New York City. Anyways, I had a few different crushes. My friends and I were going to parties, you know, doing the whole high school party deal where we wanted to stay out late, do Ubers, and, you know, high school party stuff. Nothing cool at all, actually, nothing cool. My mom wanted to move to Texas at this time, and I did not want to. I had a crush on a guy I really liked. I liked school a little bit. So my mom's dad was getting more and more sick with dementia. My mom had to go help him move into a nursing home. She was kind of done with Los Angeles, so she moved to Texas, and my friend offered for me to move in with her and her family. So I moved in with my very, very, very best friend's family, the same friend who we lived in their office space. I moved in with my very best friend at the time, and I lived with my friend, and I went to my charter school. I would come home and we would both do our schoolwork, and we would hang out and be best friends, and go to our different schools the next day, and then come home and be best friends and sisters. And we were just like, that was the vibe. Then after a year of doing that though, I think I was ready to go be with my mom. So I went and moved to Texas now. Now we're in 10th grade, by the way. And so I moved to Texas, where my mom and I had a little apartment. And they tried to get me to go to high school there. Didn't work out. I really didn't like it. All these kids had known each other since they were 2. It was just like this small town in Texas. They all knew each other. I just didn't want to slip in 10th grade. It just wasn't working out. There were like 700 students in the grade. I don't know. It was insane and just not for me. Just not for me. So I went back to doing online school again. But then second time I came back to Kauai was in 10th grade. So after 10th grade, after being in Texas a year and doing school online there and it was just not for me, I came to visit my sister in Kauai, and I didn't leave again. That's what happened. Or I left to Colorado for a little bit in the summertime, but I ended up coming back and moving here after 10th grade. This is when Naya and I, when I came over, he was like so interested in like hanging out with me, and like his dad just kept trying to get us to hang out because my sister was basically friends with his whole entire family. When I came, it was instantly like they were trying to get us to hang out and stuff. And so we had a bonfire and it was fun, and we hung out, and then we went to turtle caves in the ocean, and we just had such a blast together. And then I ended up moving here and doing school online while living life here. Naya and I, we started dating like when I had first turned 16, and then we got pregnant like a week or like 2 weeks before I actually turned 17. So yeah, I solely made this video just for the purpose of telling you the full story of my life before I had babies. Like, this is just my life. I'm just sharing. This is, if you're not into it, you don't have to watch. My mom raised me pretty spiritually. Like, she's always been into spirituality and just like being connected to God and praying and things like that. I've always carried that with me. I've always carried a spirituality about myself, and like just like maybe a different perspective than some of the other kids that I was going to school with. I just always felt that I was very like a spiritual person, and so I think that's why I connected with Hawaii as well. There's a lot of like conscious people living here, and this suits me a lot better than a typical city crazy life. Even though that is like kind of the life that I lived before, it's kind of like two opposites. Like, it feels like I lived a few different lives in this life. That's basically like showing you two opposite ends of the spectrum, like LA, New York, blah blah blah. And like, I'm sorry, like, not to put LA or anything down. I like a slower nature life. I like the small town feel. I like seeing my friends everywhere. I just like the perspective that people have on life here. It's so different, and I think people look at people differently here. Value people for more than maybe like their looks and stuff. Like in Los Angeles, I don't know, it's just so like materialistic and like shallow kind of. Not to say that everyone's like that, obviously, but you definitely come across a lot more people like that. Yeah, I value real people, you know? I just do. I value people that are real and genuine and true to themselves, and I just like don't feel very like LA. Like, if I really connect to my soul, it doesn't scream Los Angeles. It just doesn't. And like, I like doing modeling and acting, and like, I definitely think that it's not all like fake and trashy. There's a lot of people using their influence in a great way as well, and so I think that the people that use their influence in a great way need more attention than those who are not spreading great messages. So this is a lot more in sync with who I am, but I could definitely see me raising my kids in other beautiful places as well, like a slower, small town lifestyle. So this is where I've ended up. That's kind of my journey and how I got to where I am today with my 3 babies living in Hawaii. I hope you liked this video and hearing about my story. If you didn't, it's cool too. Thanks for tuning in this long. You're cool for tuning in. If you want to hear my story about my pregnancy with the twins and finding out I was pregnant and everything like that, I will leave a link down below for that, as well as with my daughter. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more. We'll see you later. Bye.